Journal activity. One's destination is never a place, but rather a new way of looking at things. Using this idea as your central theme, construct an interpretive text that reflects on a travel experience. Disclaimer, this is not a lecture, but a recording of an informal classroom activity for absent students to watch, so it's pretty rough. Looking at an interpretive text, okay? Now, can you remind me what is an interpretive text? Let's go with Paige. Do you remember? Remember, there's imaginative, persuasive, interpretive. What's the features of an interpretive?
Persuasive, but it doesn't have a call to action.
Excellent. It's not got a call to action. It can be in a non-fiction form. Good. Somebody has something else over here. Yes.
Interpretation of the point of view of the author.
Beautiful, yes. You assume a point of view through which you are exploring a theme or an idea or an event. So it is very much your interpretation, which is why it's not the same as a persuasive where you have a target audience, you have an objective. That doesn't mean that your perspective doesn't settle on a position. But it's not quite the same as trying to force somebody to agree with you. What are you doing? All right. Okay, so this question is from an old exam. Now, the good news for you guys is that if you were to look at this later, when you're going back before your exams over the lessons that we've had, you can probably go to the WACE website on SCASA and actually look up the marking key for this, but not today, we don't have time for that. So, they've done the thing where they have a little statement that you're to react to. One's destination is never a place, but rather a way of looking at things. Now, when they give you something like that, you don't have to literally have those words in your answer, but I don't think it's a bad idea. Because remember that their marking key is asking about what your interpretation of that statement is. So you want to have clear evidence that that is in there. So here is the idea of a intellectual or spiritual journey that is a result of a travel experience. And literally that's what they say. Using this idea as a central theme, construct an interpretive text that reflects on a travel experience. Reflects means past tense, but it also means that you're going to be looking for the deeper meanings. Central theme means that they don't want it to just be an aside that you say at the end, like you have this fabulous journey and then at the end you have that statement. It's really got to be all the way through the idea of a journey. And it's a travel experience. So we are talking about a physical journey being a metaphor or a method or a delivery method of this change. Now, the fact that they said new way does indicate that there will be an arc for your persona that you adopt. Now, the persona can legitimately be you, or it can be one that you pretend to be. So it can be literally Beth getting on a bus, trying to come to a destination, but on the way having an experience perhaps, maybe seeing the way somebody is treated, perhaps a refugee gets on the bus or something like that, or a conversation that you have. And it's actually, the physical drive gives you the situation and the criteria and the imagery and the environment being forced to be, yes, imagery, my favourite, bring it together. But it's not really about so much where Beth is going, but it's how she changes on the way. Yeah. But again, you're reflecting. So, you would be talking about it in a non-fiction way as if it had really happened. Did it really have to happen? I don't know your lives, but if you do have in your story about how, at some point the aliens or Gestapo stopped the bus, those are signposts that you might not be being credible anymore, because you do want to be credible. Yeah, if your interpretation is that there's Gestapo around you, not so much. So, my advice is actually choose a persona that is either yourself or an exaggerated version of yourself. Choose a realistic situation that you can actually remember or draw on. Doesn't mean you can't embellish it. Doesn't mean that it can't be kind of, in some ways, a little imaginative. It just mustn't read as such. It must read as a credible experience that could have happened. And remember, it's not a creative piece in the form of being a short story, because they've asked for interpretive. You are literally later reflecting on an event, so it's almost more autobiographical writing, but autobiographical in the sense that, you know, you're exploring the theme rather than these single events. So let's recap that. You are writing an interpretive text where you are exploring the central theme that a destination is never a place but rather a new way of looking at things. You're going to be forming it around a travel experience. And my suggestion is to choose a persona that is very similar to yourself. Anyone here read blogs? That won't work then. Quite often blogs and sometimes opinion editorials in newspapers and magazines, quite often they do exactly this kind of thing, don't they? They take an experience and they use this as a way of them talking about and thinking about and extending on a theme. Now, but until I ask you to answer the question, of course, now I have sanitised my hands within an inch of my life, haven't I, children?
Yeah.
And these are all individually wrapped from a brand new open in front of you. Oh yeah, China. Okay. So who wants to tell me what idea they came up with? There were some really good ones, yes.
So
Really loud.
Mine was from a perspective where I was on the train coming home from work, and there was this lady who was like constantly sanitizing her hands, like not sitting down in the seats, not going near anyone, like glaring at people if they came near her. And then when she got home, like from work, she realized her partner was doing the same thing, like not sitting on their normal furniture, sitting on like plastic bags, sanitizing their hands, like everything. And then she realized, like, maybe they're not so different. Maybe I shouldn't have judged her, that type of thing. Maybe I should judge her.
Now that's really good, but I'm going to make a couple of tweaks to it just to make it interpretive. So you've got that idea. Now I noticed that you use the word she a lot. Why would I pick up on that?
I did use I.
Oh good, it's just that when you were talking to me, you were talking about that persona that you'd adopted. But that persona is writing as though writing in a blog or an article about this experience. Now, I know that when I talk to you walking around the room, you acknowledge the fact that you don't just stay within that event, that you're actually going to write about it as a reflection afterwards, as a way of examining yourself afterwards and your persona's arrogance afterwards to sort of communicate that experience. And that does actually cross over all of this. It's the idea of being a new way of thinking that is your real destination after your trip, and it's you reflecting so that you come to new destinations again, the new, and you've kept it as your central theme, the idea that, you know, this journey, it goes from your character, your persona, which can be literally you, and, you know, going from that place of arrogance, you would signpost at the beginning that journey had taught you that, just to keep it within the realm of that experience, because you really need it to be central. But if you did that, that would satisfy that criteria. Have we got another person who's prepared to let me hear it? Yes. Really loud. In fact, can I get you to sort of like project towards the phone?
So my character, or I, am travelling on a train. It's a very long journey, so she has time to reflect on things. And she reflects on her high school experience and how stressful it was in the later years. And how she was given lots of advice, none of them really stuck with her. But then one guidance counsellor, a new one, gave her that piece of advice that one destination is never a place,
Interesting way to approach it.
but rather a new way of looking at things. And then she's going to say how that stuck with her through life and how she's adopted that kind of attitude and belief and how she can apply that to everyday situations.
Interesting approach that would be really, really valid, though you must have an experience within it.
She's travelling on a train.
Okay, and she's thinking about
Yeah.
that. That works for me. Well done. Now, what I want you to think about is you're probably thinking, why would I go home and finish and refine this piece? Can someone tell me why you would take this home and refine it? Yes.
Because this could be an oriented down.
This could be, you could get exactly this, interpreted that. It happens, but more likely.
Journal.
Well, there's the journal.
No, yeah, great.
Which one?
Pink.
Everyone hates the yellow. What is it? Admittedly, it does taste like detergent. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, but the point is,
What's the point?
I can think,
Of you.
it's not okay.
What?
I think what's the point of me?
No, it's a point of view.
Thank you. I was going, that was really personal. There we go. Alright, so going back. Oh, and I forgot to follow up something with you too, Caitlin. I noticed you slipped between, say, the word character and persona. I would keep directing you back to persona. Why would I try and direct you away from character?
Characters more to do with creative text.
Creative. You actually want to be creating the idea. The persona is the voice and the position you adopt, but it's still non-fiction. Character is fiction. So, what I was going to say is, what you can use your journal parts for is, there will be questions that ask about issues, contemporary issues. If you wrote about the coronavirus, if you wrote about any real life event, a question that asks you to write a persuasive text or an interpretive text or a creative text with a few little tweaks, this answer could become that. Creative, you simply make it a first-person character point of view, structure it with that sort of, three-part there, just a little bit of retooling in your mind. If it's persuasive, you'll put call to action in much stronger, use high modality. So with very few tweaks, this can actually work for a lot of different types of questions. And it's really important that now you start building up your bank of potential answers. In fact, it's actually worth you going home, redoing it, maybe doing a tiny bit of research so you can get some statistics in, references to real life events, quotes from people in authority or credibility, in case you want to turn it into a persuasive in an exam. Yes?
But if it was an interpretive piece, would you be able to use statistics in it?
You still could.
How do you implement that in an
I saw a terrible piece of information the other day that stopped me in my tracks, that 50% of Perth's toilet paper stock is in 10% of the houses. No, it's not made that up. I only made that up. But for a minute then you were like, oh, kill the rich. Yeah? Yeah. So, anyway, alright guys, so any of you are motivated to go home and finish this? Come on, throw your teacher a bone.
No,
Thank you.
no.
Alright, next task.